we're back. So yeah, we're going to change things up a little bit with this one, and I'm going to show you how to do some texture with your crochet projects. So again, I'm just going to continue using the piece that we've been working from. This isn't really going to be a crazy video. It's going to be pretty simple, just a different way of how to crochet into your stitches to just add a little bit of texture to your projects. So we're just going to jump right in and get to it. So today we are going to be learning how to crochet in the front loop only or back loop only of your work. And it's exactly how it sounds, the front loop or the back loop only. So I'm going to stick with half double crochet. You can do this with a single crochet. It really doesn't matter what stitch you choose to use. But for me, I'm going to stick with the half double crochet. So if you're at the end of your work, chain one and turn. And again, I still have 15 stitches. So that's what we're going to stick with. What I like to do when it comes to working in the front loop or the back loop only, my very first stitch, I still work into both loops. It just makes, in my opinion, it makes for a cleaner look, a cleaner transition, and it'll make sense once you do it. Excuse me. So I'm going to half double crochet into my first stitch going through both of those loops. And I'm gonna replace my stitch marker. Okay, so now from here, what it means by working in the front loop only or the back loop only is these top, basically when you insert your hook and you pick up both of those loops, so you get that V. What the front loop only means is when you insert your hook into the next stitch. So like I said, I'm using half double crochet, so I did my yarn over. Front loop only, instead of going all the way through, you are just going to you're only going to go through the front loop. So that back loop is left alone and you just gone through the front loop. What this does, I'll finish my stitch, is it will create a nice ridge on the opposite side of your work. So I'm going to do a couple more. So again, when working into your next stitch, it's just you're only grabbing that front loop, the loop that is towards you in the front, and still work your stitch as you normally would. So I'll do a couple front loop onlys. There we go. So as you can see, it kind of pulls your work towards the front a little bit. It gives it a little bit of bend. And on the back of your work, you can see these loops here. These are the unworked back loops. So as you continue going back and forth along your rows, if you continue, it'll give you a nice kind of ridged look to it. So that's how the front loop only works, and the back loop only works the exact same way. It's just into the back loop. So this time, instead of going into the front loop, I'm going to go into the back loop. So I'm going to go through the top between that V and go through that back loop, and then yarn over and complete your stitch. So when working in rows, working in the front loop or the back loop is what side of the change will be on. So again, to work in the back loop, you're gonna go from the top through the center of that V and just scoop up or scoop through that back loop only. So I'm gonna finish another couple. And so when working in rows and working on the back loop, you can see the ridge on the side of the work that is facing you. So when working in the front loop, the difference will be on the back. And when working in the back loop, when working in the back loop, the change or the ridge that you're creating will show on the side that you are looking at. So I'm gonna do front loop in these last couple. And then when you are working in rows, again, what I personally like to do, again, is on the very first stitch and the very last stitch is I do work into both of the loops. It just, like I said, it makes for a nice cleaner look. It's easier to see and it keeps your edges, again, nice and clean and everything like that. So you can see these two were in the front loop. These, so these two are in the front loop. These few are in the back loop. As you can see, they kind of sit back. And then again, these ones are in the front. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do another row and I'm gonna alternate between front and back. So remember that very first stitch, go through both of those loops on your hook. I'm gonna replace my stitch marker. So now I'm going to do 3 front loop. So we have 1, 2, 3. I'm going to do 3 in the back loop. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to do the same again, 3 in the front loop. 3 in the back loop. Oops. 2. 3. I'll just do 1 more front loop. And then I will finish off going through both loops at the end. Now this way you can really see the nice ridged effect, ripple texture. You can see the texture. I suck at words. But anyway, so these are your front loops, the front loop only. So you can see on the back, you've got those unworked stitches there, or unworked loops. And then these 3 are the back loop. So you can see these, it makes it sit back a little bit. So it gives you that nice edge right here. And then here's 3 front loop. And then here's your other 3 back loop. So this is just a really simple way of just giving a little bit of texture, a little bit of depth to your work. Nothing crazy, you just work the stitches as you normally would. It just depends on if you want to work through both stitches or both loops, the front loop or the back loop. When it comes to making animals and such, that's not a real word. When it comes to making animals and such, front loop only and back loop only is used as well in those for various reasons as well. But when it comes to working in rows like this, it does give your flat lay project just a nice bit of texture and depth. That's it for this video. I know it's nothing crazy, but go ahead and practice that. Keep practicing your single and your half double crochet. Work in some front loops, work in some back loops, and see what you can come up with. Play around, have fun. And in the next video, I'm going to show you, I'm going to show you a version of stitch that I enjoy doing. It's a play on the front loop only or the back loop only when it comes to using half double crochet stitches. So if you enjoy working in the front loop only or the back loop only or the look that this gives you, come back for the next video or I'm going to show you how to make these ridges stand out just a little bit more. If you're having fun, of course, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss the posting of the next video or anything in the future. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them in the comments. And of course, you'll find descriptions for the hook and all the fun stuff that I'm using in the description below. Beyond that, you have a great day. Practice makes perfect. Have fun, and I'll catch you on the flip side.